Welcome everybody to TMC Connect. We will give everybody just a minute to come in and then we will get started. Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Bramley, and I'm the Business Development Coordinator here at TMC. Thank you so much for joining us today for TMC Connect, uncovering the right size workforce with Brad Ketcher from Ignite. Super excited to have Brad join us today and want to thank you all for being here. Some housekeeping things. You guys have all entered on mute, but you can drop your questions in the chat or the Q&A, and I will be addressing those with Brad at the end of the session. So please feel free to drop those questions in the chat for us, and we will get started. You will have a follow-up email tomorrow with the deck attached, as well as a link to the video that we will be posting on YouTube. So once again, thank you very much, and hello, Brad.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm hanging in there. Thank you. Thanks
Excellent.
Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. And I did want to give a shout out to Ignite and Matchbox. They are sponsors for our Terranea Reunited 2021 conference. It's coming up September the 18th through the 21st in Palos Verde, California. So if any of you on the call are joining us, thank you so much. Look forward to meeting everybody in person, and please stop by and say hello to Brad during the Lightning Showcase.
I look forward to Terranea and the conference. I think it's going to be a great event, and I've been to many TMC events, and they're all incredibly well done and very open dialogue. So anybody who's not a Mortgage Collaborative lender member, it's something I highly recommend considering. So.
Thank you. And with that, let's get started, Brad.
Great, thank you. So thank you everybody for taking time out of your day to attend this webinar. I'll try to make it quick and efficient with time, looking for about 20-25 minutes. So a quick recap of Ignite Integration Solutions. We were founded in 2013. We're a technology company focused on the residential mortgage industry. Predominantly, we focus on the Encompass loan origination system with automation, better workflows, greater visibility within the loan file, and data or documents going in or out of the system, such as vendor integrations. We really strive to keep Encompass as a system of record, and we try to also avoid as many clicks as possible. So Ignite is a team of mortgage professionals, me included. I've been a loan officer, head of sales, head of processing. I've been in capital markets twice, and worked in asset management for 8 years, managing $1 billion servicing platform. So I'm just one member of the team. I have several colleagues that have all been in the mortgage industry as well, and so I'm one spoke of the wheel. And also we have a team of full-time, fully domestic software developers. All developers are here in the U.S., and all of our solutions are configured and scalable. Encompass is a very customizable solution, so we'll scale and configure our solutions to meet exactly your needs. So today, I am going to focus on discovering the right size workforce, and let's start off with people. So we hear the commercials all the time about the company Indeed. So they're on the radio, they're on Pandora. It's just nonstop, where they say that finding the right candidate is like finding a needle in a haystack, and they make it seem like finding the right person can be an easy solution, and sometimes they're right, but at the same time, finding the right candidate tends to normally be not so easy. Not to mention, there's also a lot of training and managing and evaluation. So on the screen right now in front of you is the human element, and then a bit of a pie chart. So how long does it take to find a new hire? So every industry is saying that it's really difficult to find new employees at this moment. For people looking at the recording, we're still in the middle of COVID, unfortunately. And let's see, in the mortgage industry, It's incredibly rare, if at all, that you hear somebody saying that they want to go through school to join the mortgage industry. So I feel like our industry is a little bit more challenging in terms of finding new individuals and new people of higher caliber joining our ranks. So how long does it take to train and hire a new, how long does it take to train a new hire? Finding the time to train is not easy, especially when the managers are so busy with the day-to-day work. Are certain roles with high turnover. So some jobs are not appealing. Some, for example, like stuffing envelopes or creating goodbye letters, mortgage statements. When I managed the due diligence for the asset management company, we were bidding on 500 to 5,000 loans, going through BPOs, going through appraisals, going through due diligence notes, and what can be exciting in the beginning can be pretty mundane in the end, and there's possibility that you can have some turnover that you have to work with. And then the next part is really looking at projections. So where do you expect to be in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years from now? And are you looking to scale up or you're scaling down in terms of your business and your workforce? So here in front of you is a chart from the Mortgage Bankers Association, and it's going to bring great joy and also potentially some discomfort at the same time. And the reason why is because the volume is staggering, which is phenomenal. MBA calculated that last year in 2020 that there were $3.8 trillion of new originations. A lot of people expected the year to have been pre-COVID, and when interest rates started to rise a little bit, people thought that it was going to be closer to a $2 or $2.2 trillion year. And then a lot of people had concerns of this year, 2021, thinking that it might have been around $2.5 trillion, which is roughly half of the 3.8 trillion that was last year. So the other questions that you have to really get into, how much of a workforce do you need for today's tasks and originations, which gets into the next chart. So in terms of tasks, are certain projects time intensive? And once again, the focus of today's webinar is uncovering the right size workforce. So if you shoulder surf, right? So if you're looking over somebody's shoulder and you're seeing what are they doing day to day, you'll find that there's times that people are working on repetitive processes that can take a very long time, such as accounting. So loan vision, accounting for mortgage bankers, A and B, that I'm hearing that it could take 2 hours or possibly as much as 4 hours, depending on the size of your company and all the different silos of just aggregating data into a data tape for it to be ingested into their technology. And at the same time, because it's so laborious and takes 2 to 4 hours, it's possible that those uploads are only happening once a day, maybe once a week, and the request would be for more frequent, but at the same time, the human power, it's really tough to catch up with greater frequency. Sub-servicing, when loan boarding, that a typical data tape has between 300 and 350 data points. And it's not just pulling data out of Encompass, you also need to perform what we call as translations. So purchase becomes a letter P, single family equals number 1, something in that regards. And then QC extracts. If you ask a remote worker how long it takes to extract documents from Encompass and send it over to the QC provider, the average time I'm hearing is between 7 and 10 minutes, where the Encompass environment is kind of, it's frozen, but it's processing. But that's because people are working from home. They don't have the same technical bandwidth that they would at work. Are certain workflows being circumvented by users? Such as one thing that I've always noticed is that underwriters tend to wake up very early to gobble up as many streamlined loans as possible, as compared to just being disseminated a loan when it's their turn. Are there certain tasks that are dreaded, such as FHA case binder deliveries or FHA like upfront MIP data delivery? So it's mundane tasks that are incredibly repetitive and can be time consuming, which, a little bit of a footnote, a lot of this can be solved through automation and technology. Are there certain tasks that are prone to mistakes? And then you have a concern of investor repurchases. Are there certain concerns of audit flags? And the big thing is a company getting the most out of their people? Some people are very expensive versus others. Some people are diligent and work remotely very well versus others might not. Not all people have the same work ethic or desire to rise up the ladder, and not all people have the same experience or accreditation, such as like FHA or VA underwriting capabilities. So knowing that every loan and every person is different, we should understand that our metrics need to accommodate for that. So here are 4 different ways of measuring people's performance. One is quantity. But the negative there is that it's just one measure. So a self-employed condo loan is incredibly different than an FHA streamline loan. Duration. So how much time did it take to go from one person's hands to another is a great metrics, but also be careful of having weekends or possibly somebody receiving a loan at 5 p.m. and they might turn around that loan by 10 o'clock in the morning, but now it looks like they still took many, many hours to accomplish their tasks. Quality. It's possible to have people score the performance of the loan when they receive it. It's such a simple idea and actually quite easy to implement, but very rarely used. Capabilities. Are people performing at the optimum level that they can? So going into basically business intelligence and monitoring operations. So there are four main ideas that I have right now. So one are pipeline views. So and speaking specific to Encompass, but I think most loan origination systems really operate around pipelines. So pipelines is what I view, or what people are working on now. How many loans does a person have in their queue, in their pipeline? So is 15 a good number? Is 80 a bad number? It really all becomes relative, because 80 might be an agreeable number if you're working with new construction or construction type loans, versus 15, even though it seems like a lower number, might be the right set number, where the goal is just to try to it's possible that as it hops from a processor to underwriting, that when it comes back for a later stage or a later milestone, that maybe a different processor is assigned to that loan. That's very familiar with outsourcing of underwriting and processing, where it doesn't matter who picks up the loan. It's just kind of get through your pipeline and send it back over the fence. So each loan origination system has basic reports. And Encompass has reports that can be created, and a lot of times people are just looking at that as data points. But there are ways, also especially in the Encompass reporting section, that you could actually embed in Excel calculations. The negative there is that you need to have a column with all the different data attributes. So if it's A plus B plus C equals D, you need to have 4 different columns, even though you really only care about D as a column. But there are ways to work and configure reports, but there's no question that business intelligence is incredibly important to know where you stand as a company and where each individual, how they are performing. So in terms of business intelligence, extracting a report and uploading it to a business intelligence vendor is a very optimal solution. There are a lot of different business intelligence or BI companies out there, such as Motivity, Qlik, Domo, Tableau. Microsoft Power BI came about and it's been around for a while, but they changed their pricing structure about 2.5 years ago, where it's $10 per user per month. It just sounds so incredibly simple, and it's something that has really taken great momentum over the last 2 years, and it's relatively easy to work with. Challenges that a lot of times you have to pull a report and manually pull a report, manually upload that report, and in order to refresh the Microsoft Power BI, or you can work with an integration. Companies such as ourselves, Ignite, can help you with that integration, or you could work with your IT department. The other part, which is what I was using on our marketing flyer, is that Ignite has other capabilities of monitoring Encompass. So we can look at when people are logging into Encompass, when people are logging off, how many loans somebody went into, and how many fields were changed. So in the end, we have some filters up top, which are expandable. So in the end, you could have a certain range. If you want to expand the range, you can. If you want to look for a specific loan number to see all the different players that have worked on the loan, you can look for a borrower. So if you want to look by last name instead of by loan number, you can. If you're looking for an Encompass user, so loan status. So a lot of different ways to filter through. So I look at this as the information funnel cone. So at one point it's completely wide, and then you're trying to narrow it down. In terms of logons, so here is the company average for the week that I'm showing right here. So green is the logons, the red dotted line is the log offs. So we could show that a lot of people are really working pretty hard between 5 and and 7 o'clock at night. You can hone in on the individual. So is the person really producing the work and the hours that you're expecting? I'll say Ignite created this solution, or the first iteration of this solution back in 2018, when we had a slowdown in the marketplace and people were looking for downsizing the workforce. However, this has seen a great run over the last year and a half as people are working remotely, that managers want to understand, are people truly working? So once again, you can look at duration, you can look at pipeline views and like simple calculations on business intelligence of how many loans are people looking at. But at the same time, it's possible that people are really just gobbling up a lot of streamlines, day one certainties, and that's helping out their numbers. So this is getting a little bit more like in the weeds, I would say, of analytics. So aside from the chart, you can go into a data grid. So here's a data grid. The other helpful part is that it shows IP addresses. So if you want to look at somebody's accessing your system outside of an agreeable IP address, you could actually kind of reverse look up IP addresses to see if they're outside the US. That's also incredibly helpful. All this information is being stored into a database. So you could also look at loan touches. So how many loans were touched by that user during that time span? So if you want, you could also open up the grid. In terms of field audits, you can look at how many data points were changed by that user during that week. And you could say that, I mean, here, this one is 4,200 or so within that day. And here we go getting into the actual person. So here, this right here, 1,000 there and almost 1,000 there. But you could get into how much work was actually performed. And this is scalable, and this is extractable, and we have other different metrics here. But the goal is to find the information that you're looking for, to see how people are working and if people are really putting in the time and the effort that you would expect. The other part, so getting into like a duration monitor. So here's a spreadsheet that I've created, and I have a couple of data points on tabs, and this is something I'm more than happy to speak to people offline after this call. But in the end, you come up with the loan number, you come up with the borrower's last name, you have a couple of metrics right here that you want to hone in on, and then you get into how much time did it take. And this could be hours or this could be days, but how much time did it take to go from loan officer to processor to underwriter, back to the processor, back to the underwriting, closing, funding, shipping, post-closing. And I understand and respect that not every mortgage company is going to use those names. You might have some extra stage gates in between, but in the end, this is high level in terms of how much time was necessary in between the people working on the loan file. But you really also have to get into the details. Just a couple of helpful hints. What kind of property was it? Again, single family, multifamily, condo co-op? Was it a purchase or a refinance? What type of employment was it? Those are questions that you really have to ask, because it's really, again, a streamline is completely different than another loan that has a lot of features that take time to review. So once you have understood in terms of reviewing people and kind of calculating the output and the workflow that they provide, then you could start saying to yourself, well, is there a way that we could convert people? And I know Tom Galucci from TMC would laugh at this, but is there a way that we could convert people from just data gathering into data management? That's a very critical statement and comment. So from that perspective, is it worthwhile for a person in accounting to spend 2 hours, let's say every single day, just aggregating data to send over to the accounting vendor vehicle, being like LoanVision? Okay, is it worthwhile 2 hours a day? Would you like it to be run more frequently? Is there a way that we can automate it? So here at Ignite, that we are able to ascertain what type of data points are necessary and basically replicate that report, possibly even make it better and more refined, and put it on a task scheduler where it can be 3 times a day instead of 1 time a week. In terms of loan boarding, we can pull all the data points. I'll never forget talking to a company, and in their shipping department, every Thursday, their shipping, their main shipper would just shut down and spend the full day of creating the data tape for loan boarding, versus technology could solve it. A perfect example is right there. That wouldn't you rather have the shipper review the sub-servicer's notes versus aggregating data just to board that loan? So in terms of Encompass, this is our kind of like our automated catalog. And this is, if anything, it's just meant for ideas. So all of these features can be automated. So in terms of Ginnie Net, instead of when you're securitizing through Ginnie Mae, instead of somebody just typing out all the data points, we could have something, a report in a text format that is just the report at your fingertips. You upload it, you put in a couple of data points. So instead of spending, let's say, 2.5 hours per pool, we could put it in probably less than 5 minutes. And that's not that's not embellishment. Those are real numbers. In terms of MERS, fully automated. MERS servicing transfer, fully automated. In terms of HUD integrations, technology is there. It's not something that's in the future. It's there. We have ways to fully automate the conditioning of a loan. And we have ways to automatically assign people to loans. So instead of a manager who's the most expensive and the most seasoned and most likely the most capable person of that group, that division, instead of them spending 25 to 30% of their day assigning loan files, instead we have the auto roll assignment. That it could be automatic round robin based on these people are FHA underwriters, we'll give it to them. These people are VA underwriters, we're going to give a round robin to them. And versus a streamlined day one certainty that you could have a fast track desk and send those loans that should skip the queue, go to that right person. So this is all just basically just conversation for thought. But in the end, it's knowledge is power. Business intelligence is something that I highly, highly recommend. If you don't have anything at this moment, I'll say anything is better than nothing. And with that being said, just wrapping up right now, I just want to say it's Brad Ketcher with Ignite. Thank you so very, very much to the Mortgage Collaborative for this time. And I'm here for any questions if there are.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks,
and I can imagine that with all the remote work and people are always on the operational excellence call that we just had yesterday, that people were talking about, how can you make sure that your people are being productive? That they may be at their desk, but what is it that they're doing? And this is just a perfect example of a solution that Ignite has that would help them to answer that question, and in detail, right? And to really be able to tell and how their productivity is, like you said, because loans are different. So it may take somebody 5 minutes to do a loan, or it may take somebody 2 hours to do a loan, but that loan is different. You need to figure that out.
Exactly.
And make that part of the decision. So we did have a question for those individual loan matrix. Are they available in Ignite's interface, or does it have to be exported and to create the Excel?
So let's see. So if I understand correct, so from here, this is if we're talking about the Ignite's productivity manager, so the information has to reside on the server. So if you want to self-host, that's fine. Our recommendation is really for Ignite to kind of manage the entirety of the solution. So we would like it to be in our data center. And then from there, you can, once you narrow down the information, there's an export feature, and then you can have the spreadsheet at your fingertips. So basically kind of like the grid of what you see here. The grid is what's exportable.
So David, I think that answered your question. If not, if you want to ask an additional question, please feel free to drop that in the chat as well. So it is on Ignite's interface and then can be exported from there.
Yes.
So, and is this a plugin?
That is an application. So
okay.
So just for people that are not, so Encompass allows for plugins, and so I consider them plugin tools and applications. So plugins are really through kind of like the input form builder. It's lower barrier to deploy those type of solutions, and look, they're robust. They provide a lot of pickup but there are also applications that really are utilizing the SDK and APIs. And that's where, if you're trying to extract data, if you're trying to extract documents, generally those are the application side that reside on the server. So in the end, I could describe in detail of any solutions that people have questions about, but in the end, I would say look towards the solution and the goals first, and then start backing it out of what type of solution is it, how much IT infrastructure is necessary, and then it gets into, do you want to have, let's say if it's a robust application, do you want to have it managed by your IT staff, or do you want to kind of like offshore all of it, which we can.
Excellent, thank you. And then when will the memory of your solution start?
Oh, good question. So our applications, and I feel like this goes for most applications, once they're deployed, that's when the memory starts. So if we were to, if you wanted the productivity manager, let's say today, and if it's deployed into your environment today, then it's capturing anything from today onwards. It doesn't have a look back feature.
Okay. And then one other question was the audit trail. How does it affect the audit trail?
Well, so for us, let's see, this will show how many fields were changed by the user, but it's really not meant to dive into fields of who changed what, when, and where. But Ignite does have, like, here's Encompass and just jumping into alone. So we have our own Audit Explorer, which will monitor user level actions and will tell you the before and after of whatever has been changed. So if a loan officer happens to change the rate from 3.5% to 3 3/4, or somebody wants to change the property address or something in that regards, so we can. So here, just by clicking on the Audit Explorer, there's a button here. You could also access it on the pipeline view. And then just by clicking search, now these are all field IDs, descriptions, the old value, new value, the date to the millisecond who changed it, and then who changed it, with filters. So if you want to look at anything like income, so our Audit Explorer feature is, if you're getting to Audit Trail, I highly recommend considering our Audit Explorer, because the fields do not have to be in the reporting database to be monitored. So all 25 to 30,000 fields within your Encompass environment can be monitored for any user actions, as long as they're field IDs, not virtual fields. But this is something that the Audit Trail, you can see potential latency if you have too many fields in the Audit Trail, because every time you click save, then Encompass is kind of going around of all fields that are in the Audit Trail. So if you have 300 fields, it's pretty quick. If you have 3,000 fields, then it can add some latency to closing. Our Audit Explorer feature would not add latency upon closing. And again, all 25 to 30,000 field IDs are being captured, and we could hone in on the fields that were changed.
Excellent. Well, these are just a few of the solutions that you have. I know that you guys have an arsenal
Yes.
of available products for the folks. So if you want to follow up with Brad, please call him or email him, and he will be happy to speak with you. Thank you, Brad, for your information today, and I really do appreciate you coming to TMC Connect and bringing your expertise. We appreciate that. Just as a reminder, you guys will get an email tomorrow with the deck included, as well as a link to the video. And we appreciate you being here. Please come back to the calendar and check out all the things that we have going on. And once again, Brad, thank you to Ignite, and thank you to Matchbox for sponsoring the Lightning Showcase at Reunited 2021. And just, we cannot wait to see everybody in person.
Same here. Thank you, Tony, and thank you, the Mortgage Collaborative, for hosting and sponsoring this webinar. And thank you to all the participants for joining for this call. Really appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so very much.
You guys, happy Thursday. Have a great weekend, and we appreciate you. Thank you.